With reports of Sony ending the production of the PlayStation Vita, namely physical games, and the fact of the matter is, in the eyes of the mainstream gaming audience, the PlayStation Vita isn't readily a platform of choice anymore, it's time to take a look at the vault of PS Vita games and games that I would love to see come over to the PlayStation 4. If you don't know, the PlayStation Vita actually had a slew of great games. Some of those games were already ported to the PlayStation 4, such as Gravity Rush, so we know that Sony and other studios are not adverse to porting these games over to the PS4, and there's still definitely a library that can be taken advantage of with great games that should be released on the PS4. So we've got 6 games to go over, so let's get right into this. Right away, I think this is the most obvious game, and that is Uncharted Golden Abyss. Now you might be wondering, how did Uncharted really fare on a portable platform? And the answer was, it fared very well. Uncharted Golden Abyss, I think the majority of gamers would agree, was a better game than the very first Uncharted title. Wasn't quite as good as Uncharted 2. What Uncharted Golden Abyss really excelled at was offering a portable style experience. The chapters were very short. There were a lot of chapters, however, so that style of play wouldn't translate quite as well on a home console. However, it's still a really good game that takes place prior to the very first Uncharted game, so you can jump right in. You've got some great characters in there. The visuals are almost on par with the first Uncharted, and a remastering on the PlayStation 4 would do very well. Let's hope it happens.
He's not a general anymore.
Tell that to his goddamn army. So much gold, the revolution will live.
What have you done the last 10 years except work piss-ass jobs for schlubs like me?
One game that's being rumored currently to come to the PlayStation 4, that's Persona 4 Golden. Yes, reports have come out that Persona 4 is not dead yet by the official Persona magazine in Japan. It says a new Persona game is on the way, and the only thing that I could make sense of that was a Persona 4 Golden port onto the PlayStation 4. Now, Persona 4 Golden itself was a remastering of Persona 4, which was released back in 2008 on the PlayStation 2, and it was an excellent game, but being on the PlayStation 2, being 10 years old, there is definitely an audience of gamers that loved Persona 5 that have yet to play Persona 4, so why not re-release Persona 4 Golden onto the PlayStation 4? Price it at $39.99 and it's gonna sell very well, especially because the popularity for the franchise is higher than ever. Persona 5 is heralded as one of the best PlayStation 4 titles, and while from a personal standpoint, I don't think Persona 4 is quite as good as Persona 5, that is a debate we can have at a different time. The fact remains that the game is excellent. It's got so much content to it. Golden makes it a better game than the original, so of course we'd get that version on the PS4, and maybe they could even throw in some extra stuff on top of that. That would be awesome. Let's hope that comes to fruition, because out of all of these games, I think this one would really resonate with the PlayStation 4 audience. How about another PlayStation Vita port of an older title, and that is Muramasa Rebirth. Muramasa Rebirth was a porting of the Nintendo Wii title Muramasa the Demon Blade, a game developed by Vanillaware, the guys that also did Odin Sphere and more recently Dragon's Crown. And Muramasa fundamentally is very similar to those games, that it's a very stylish 2D action RPG. And when I say stylish, let me emphasize that it's very stylish. Right away looking at the game, it's one of the best art styles I've seen in a video game. And on top of that, the overall presentation is just great. It's got great music, the look is great, and I'm sure on the PlayStation 4 it'd be running at 4K, so even better on that end. And that's not to mention the absolutely thrilling gameplay. It's a very fast-paced action game, a little bit repetitive at times, but overall the game is gorgeous. And considering the original game was released on the Wii, then it had a re-release on the PlayStation Vita, it's time that the game is available to a wider audience, especially because Vanillaware and Atlus have ported over Odin Sphere as well as Dragon's Crown to the PlayStation 4. Kinda weird if they skip out on Muramasa Rebirth. Next up, we have Freedom Wars. Freedom Wars was one of those PlayStation Vita titles that was released during the decline of the PlayStation Vita. For a little while, we didn't even know if Sony Japan Studios' title would be coming over stateside. Thankfully, it did. Unfortunately, it didn't have English voiceovers. You had to play with the Japanese dialogue and subtitles, so that was a little bit unfortunate, but what was intact was the great gameplay. A lot of similarities could be drawn to other action RPGs such as God Eater or Monster Hunter, but it's definitely got its own features, and while it's not perfect in every aspect, it is a very good action RPG with a great premise, and it's got a pretty good story to round things out. A little bit repetitive at times, but overall, this is a great game that has been completely forgotten about. It was a PlayStation Vita original title, and unlike an original IP like Gravity Rush, which was at least ported over to the PlayStation 4, Freedom Wars is a game that's just been silently forgotten about, and that is a shame. Speaking of a new IP that's silently been forgotten about, how about Soul Sacrifice? And ideally, we would have Soul Sacrifice Delta coming over to the PlayStation 4. Soul Sacrifice was another action RPG being developed by Sony Japan Studios, and actually they got help from Concept and Keiji Inafune, so that's a little interesting. The game itself is a very dark action RPG, and it's got a great look to it, and I feel this is a game that would translate very well to the PlayStation 4 and its audience. Just looking at it from a surface value, it's hard not to be captivated by Soul Sacrifice, and while it does have its pitfalls here and there, once again, Soul Sacrifice was a great new IP, and at this point, if something isn't done, it's gonna be quietly forgotten about like Freedom Wars. And finally, much like Uncharted Golden Abyss, a staple PlayStation franchise, Killzone Mercenary was a Killzone title released on the PlayStation Vita, developed by Guerrilla Cambridge, who most recently did Riggs Mechanized Combat League, a PlayStation VR title. Killzone Mercenary was a great first-person shooter on the PlayStation Vita. It was that online multiplayer FPS that we wanted on a portable platform for so long. The PSP was stifled by the lack of dual analog sticks. Finally, in 2013, a year and a half after the release of the PlayStation Vita, we got Killzone Mercenary, and it absolutely delivered. By traditional Killzone standards, visually, this game is absolutely stunning and probably the PlayStation Vita's best looking game, but it's not just a tech demo. There's a great single player campaign, and on top of that, the multiplayer is very engaging, and you've got a great currency system on there, and the single player actually rewards you in the multiplayer. It is just a great game, and considering that we did get a Killzone game on the PlayStation 4 in Killzone Shadowfall, but it was so disappointing, it would be great to see Killzone Mercenary come over to the PlayStation 4 running at 4K, and even with the visuals that were present in Killzone Mercenary, I think a lot of gamers would just be satisfied with that. And considering at this point Guerrilla themselves are focused on Horizon Zero Dawn and developing that franchise, we probably aren't going to be seeing a Killzone 4 anytime soon, so why not to hold us over? Just give us Killzone Mercenary for now and let us enjoy that title. Hell, while you're at it, bring Killzone 2 and 3 to the PlayStation 4 as well. How about you do an entire collection with Mercenary, Killzone 2, and Killzone 3? I think that would fare very well from a commercial standpoint.
For the fight against men, against machines, buy guns, buy the best, fight clean, fight dirty, with stealth, with force. Choose sides. Choose tactics. For the bonus. For the perks.
So that is going to conclude this video. 6 awesome PlayStation Vita titles that I would love to see on the PlayStation 4. What do you think? Are there any games I missed here? I don't really think I did because the other titles such as Tearaway and Gravity Rush have already been ported over to the PlayStation 4, and a lot of the other third-party games are also already available on the PlayStation 4. So that is going to conclude this one. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.